to give back to their cherished nature island. Welcome to Roots Connections on Q. Join Dr. Simone Mathieu on Q95 as we tap into the life and times and expertise of our nature island Dominicans, at home and abroad. From our agriculture and industry to sustainable development, resilience and renewable energy, to the music, art, and entertainment industries. Join Dr. Simone Mathieu and guests every other Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We examine where they came from, where they have been, where they are now, and how we can move forward together with our brothers and sisters at home and abroad to inspire and elevate our country, our economy, our people, and our youth to achieve excellence and success. Roots Connections on Q, every other Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station.
Jacob is calling his children. We're brothers, so we walk home. Oh, children, home. To Zion, home. Wanna go.
Good evening, Dominica, the Caribbean region, and the rest of the world. And welcome to another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. Let's go ahead and allow our guests to come in. Mr. Garraway, nice to have you. I'm just going to mute your mic very quickly as we're starting the program. So wherever you're joining us from and whatever you're doing at this time, it is always wonderful to be in your company for our number one program, where we look at change as the only constant. So our number one program where we navigate change as the only constant in this life. And I think we can all agree that, based on all the changes that we see in the world. So here on Roots Connection, we feature the change makers in our community, those visionaries among us who are not sitting by the sideline talking about what we should do, but instead they are on the front line and they're walking the talk and showing us what happens when we turn our passion for Dominica into action for the development of our country, our people, and our region. Because again, we continue to witness how quickly the world around is changing. So here on Roots Connections, we are committed to engaging with our visionaries as we explore topics such as the changes we should be concerned about, the changes we should be taking advantage of, and what changes we need to make in order to move our Caribbean region and our people forward. So welcome to episode number 113 of Roots Connections on Q. I am your host, Dr. Simone Mathieu. And as always, we have another packed program for you as we continue to focus on opportunities to positively impact our Caribbean region and our world, especially as it relates to sustainable economic development. And we're so happy that you're joining us today. We have another great program for you because by now we all know that the results of the grade 6 national assessment was released last Friday. So we must continue to have important conversations on the way forward to securing the future of our students in Dominica. So we are very grateful to be joined by the Dominica-American Scholarship and Culture, Inc., for short DASCI, who are here to tell us the role that they too are playing in this very important mission of securing our children's future. So we're happy to be joined today by the president of DASCI, and that is Miss Patricia Pat David, as well as the chairperson for the scholarship committee, Mr. Newton Garraway. But before we get started, we always like to start with a note of prayer. On Facebook, I see you're coming in already. Neil Coffey, Veronica Pascal, nice to see you guys. As always, come on in, share the life. We like to start the program with a prayer that our country continues to thrive and succeed despite the many challenges we are facing. We are also always grateful to you, our worldwide audience, whether you're listening via the radio on Q95, at DA.com, or the various online radio platforms. And we also are happy for everyone who's joining us on Facebook at Q95 FM, also Push Past 10, as well as YouTube on Q95 FM radio. So don't forget, as you come in, share the live, let everyone know that we're here for another impactful conversation, and click that notification button so you will never miss another live program. Lambi, always great to see you. Thank you for being on the console as you take the calls later in the program. Sharon Norris, Mr. Gregoire, Mr. G, and all the rest of the Q95 family. It is always wonderful to be with you, and we thank you for continuing to support the work of Roots Connection. So let's go ahead and give a warm Roots Connections welcome to our guests, and thank them for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here. So we'll ask them to unmute their mic. And before we do, let me say a very special thank you to Pat David. She was the one who reached out to me to tell me about the wonderful work that her organization is doing. So we are so appreciative when folks reach out to us, because it tells us that they see value in a program such as Roots Connection. So Pat, you can unmute your mic and just say hi to the audience and kind of tell us a little bit about you and your connections to Dominica.
So hi, thank you for inviting us, or thank you for accepting my call to be invited. My name is Pat David. I'm actually calling from New Jersey, which is where I live right now. I am currently the president of DASCI for the last 2 terms. This is my 4th year, going to my 4th year. But in terms of my connection to DASCI and Dominica, I was born in England, but my parents are from Dominica. My father and my mother both passed, but they came from Vieques and Coton. They currently have property in Picard, which is where I go back when I visit Dominica, which I'll be doing actually next week. My dad was a LeBlanc, so my maiden name is LeBlanc. My claim to fame for the real connection to Dominica is my uncle, E.O. LeBlanc, was the first premier in Ireland. So I use that to get into different places, let's just say.
I don't blame you.
I know when not to use it. I'm not stupid, right? I'm very careful. But that's my connection in terms of the country. I got connected to DASCI through my dad. He was a member, and I was just saying, what is all this DASCI thing happening? I was working in corporate America at the time, and I kind of followed the organization a little bit. After he passed, I said, okay, let me really become a member, and I did. And the members, a couple of years ago, saw it fit for me to take on the charge of being the next president, which I'm very gratified and humbled to do. So my job is to treat it with care and feeding that it deserves as an organization that has been around for 20 plus years. Newton has a longer history with us, so I want to give him the opportunity to talk about how this whole thing got started, because it's phenomenal on how this little seed of an idea became where we are today with the growth and what we've been able to see. But that's my connection to Dominica, and I love my country, and I can't wait to go back and have my breadfruit and my codfish.
Thank you for that. So before we delve too much into the actual history, Newton, just tell us about you and your connections, and then we will go into the history of the organization. So Newton, welcome to the program.
Okay, thank you. I just unmuted myself, so you should be able to hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm Newton Garraway. I'm a member of DASCI, which is Dominica-America Scholarship and Culture, Inc. Originally, I'm from Portsmouth, and I grew up in Dominica and left at 30 years old. So I was quite a grown young man when I left the country. I migrated to the US, and I got a degree in Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and worked with Levi Strauss and Company, the jeans people, for quite a few years as an account executive in the sales department. Retired and moved to Florida. So, here we made contact with some of the great Dominicans who lived in Port St. Lucie. Mm-hmm. Now, I can wait to tell you more about the history of DASCI. So if you want to ask other questions, I can wait in the meantime, because I can tell you how it started.
Yes, because what I'd like to do, and now I'd like to go to your website and just give a little bit of the history of how, and you say you call it DASCI, right? So I'll just give a
Yes.
little history of who you are and what you do. And I love how your about section starts with "Forward We Go." We all know that's a popular song, but I love how you embrace that phrase. So, who we are, Dominica-America Scholarship and Culture, Inc., is a nonprofit, non political organization founded in 2003 and granted 501c3 status in 2013 that operates exclusively for charitable and educational purposes. Membership is limited to people who are Dominican by birth, naturalization, marriage, or family, or who claim Dominican citizenship and are interested in sharing and upholding Dominica and Caribbean culture. The mission to foster cooperation and goodwill among Dominicans, other Caribbean peoples, and fellow Americans through promoting educational, recreational, and social interaction, sponsoring charitable programs for the needy in Dominica and the U.S., and preserving and celebrating Dominican culture. Objectives: to establish a bond among people of Dominican heritage and provide a support system to encourage friendship and goodwill between Dominicans and the American people, to promote recreational and educational interaction among those people, to sponsor, when possible, charitable or other programs for Dominica's needy, to provide college scholarships to graduating high school students in St. Lucie County, to preserve and celebrate Dominican culture, including but not limited to customs, language, dance, food and folklore, and education, and expose those attributes to the American community. What we do: DASCI is a 100% volunteer run organization. Its success in raising funds for college and high school scholarships is entirely dependent on the work of its members and the generosity of a growing community of supporters that believe in DASCI's mission. Since 2007, DASCI has awarded a total, listen up guys, DASCI has awarded a total of 185 scholarships valued at US $126,950, 163 awards valued at US $107,450 have been made to primary school graduates entering school in Dominica, and 22 awards valued at US $19,500 have been made to college-bound high school students in St. Lucie County in Florida. All U.S. scholarships are targeted to African American students. DASCI also undertook a special project that provided emergency supplies to Dominicans after Tropical Storm Erica in 2015. More recently, after the devastation of Hurricane Maria in 2017, DASCI, through special fundraising efforts, including a GoFundMe drive, purchased shipped and distributed 1,200 backpacks with school supplies to students at 10 primary schools in Dominica. So first and foremost, let me say congratulations to your organization and the wonderful work that you are doing. So Newton, let me come over to you so you can kind of give us a little bit more of a personalized
Yeah.
of how DASCI got started. Why did it get started? So let's start.
Well, it's an interesting story. When we moved to Florida, we didn't know too many people in the area where we were living, but there were Dominicans in Port St. Lucie, which is St. Lucie County, and including the LeBlancs, which we knew before at home in Dominica. So we used to come to see them quite often, and we formed a social group And there was one person in the group that decided, well, let me write everybody a formal letter to ask whether they wanted to form a little social organization. So we said, sure. So we actually started Dominica Social Club, and that's how it started. But as time went on, we said, well, let's try to do something more, that we can give back more to the island. And but we always at the time, even prior to getting our nonprofit status, we still used to give scholarships, but it was a minor issue. But we decided to get serious about it and formed. We went from Dominica Social Club, which was still this acronym of DASCI, to Dominica-America Scholarship and Culture, Inc. We kind of had a challenge with trying to get a name that kept the same acronym, and we eventually came up with Dominica-America Scholarship and Culture, Inc., which is DASCI for short. So that was good. So after that, then we started formulating plans for raising funds to give more scholarships than we used to do in the past. And that's how we actually got going. So what we started giving to Dominica, small amounts, and then over the course of a couple of years, we decided, well, we should give back to the community that we were living in, and that's how we started including the high schools in Port St. Lucie County for, giving back to them too. So that's how that part started. So as far as after that, then we got a little more formal, formulated the rules involved for the giving process, and we started to raise more funds and started to approach more schools at a time, because one of the challenges we had, since we didn't have much cash, is that we were trying to decide what was the best way to get more bang for our buck. And after thinking about knowing the challenges that people had giving back to Dominica, like some people would challenge themselves for giving to the hospitals or giving, computers to different schools. We thought that might have been a little too much for us. So let's start by targeting the kid, directly to the kid, and the benefit it would have for that young kid trying to get on with their education. So that's how we targeted, instead of giving like a one scholarship for a 5-year higher education process, we decided to give the initial money to young graduates from primary school who needed help starting high school. And that's how the ball got rolling.
Okay, excellent. And I do apologize, but I'm the producer, host, and creator, so I'm busy sharing the live to everyone who's waiting for the link. So my apologies for having my eyes down, but I can clearly hear you. And we want to welcome Ms. Judith Pastina to the program. She's listening with interest, so it's wonderful to have you locked in. So guys, again, if you are tuned in and you want to be acknowledged for being here, simply type a message and just tell us where you're listening to us from. And I also want to make sure we're engaging our audience during this session as well. So if you can also tell us your thoughts on the changes that we've seen with the Grade 6 National Assessment, because we are talking about education, we're talking about change, and we're talking about the way forward. So if that is something you want to make a contribution on as well, you can feel free to do so in the comment section. But Pat, was there anything you wanted to add to what Newton just talked about?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that you talked about in terms of how you even start your show with prayer and just recognizing that people came before us and we're giving thanks and moving forward. When we host events to raise funds, one of the first things we do is we have a prayer.
Absolutely.
And the second thing we do is the U.S. anthem and the Dominica anthem. That's just like a standard practice. And we do that because our audience started to expand a little bit, and we want to make sure friends, family, supporters, or people who are not from Dominica understand that's who we are. And so you have to kind of embed that in everything that you do. And so our events showcase that. So if anybody in your group is listening, if they go to the DASCI website and they click on gallery, they'll see years of photos and videos of all our events where they can see how we do what we do, from the food we eat to the clothes that we wear and to the songs that we sing, if you will. So I just want to
Yeah, absolutely. And let me go ahead and already put the website in the comment section. And if you're listening on the radio and you are not online, the website is www.d as in David, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, I as in India, .org. So DASCI.org if you're listening on the radio, and if you're on Facebook and YouTube, I just posted it to the comment section. So kind of tell us about, and the floor is open to both of you, kind of just tell us some about your programs, your initiatives, your fundraising activities. So let's get into the meat of the matter, if you will.
Yeah. You want to go, Newton, or you want me to start?
You can go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, so there's several ways that we raise money, because without the money we can't get the scholarship. Okay, and just so you know, the scholarship it comes out to be about 2,000 EC dollars per student, which is a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's about 750 US dollars, and for the US students that we offer scholarships to, it's 1,000 US dollars. So it's you can buy a lot of books, if you will, right? So we have several signature events that we do every year. One is our spring picnic. And it's a picnic in Port St. Lucie at Jessica Clinton Park, but we have an admission fund. So depending on the food we're going to have and the environment that we're going to create, we charge a fee, and 100% of that money goes to the scholarship program. We also ask people to donate so we can auction things off and things like that. So that's one event that we do. It's usually in the springtime, which is always well attended. A lot of fun. People have a lot of fun. The second event that we do is, and we decided last year to do it every other year, because last year was a huge one. We did our Independence Gala, and it's usually at a venue. We invite people to dress up in their cultural wear, if you will. We had a steel band player. We have Dominican music, Caribbean music. We have the food. But again, it's a fundraiser. We auction off artifacts from maybe the country. We auction off different artworks of some of the people that we know can contribute those pieces. And so that also brings in quite a bit of money. Our memberships as well. Last year was the first time, I thought, okay, I'm the president, so I guess my big job is raising money. So, okay, I can do that. I worked in corporate America for 30 years. I think I know how to raise money. I worked for investment banking. So that's like, okay, let's go raise some money. So I spoke to a lot of people that I know that are, well endowed. And I said, look, we're doing this great activity where we have a great idea that we're doing for our culture of our students. If this is something that inspires you, here's different ways that you can give. And so what came out of that is we had several companies that sponsored tables for the employees to come. We had companies not only sponsored tables, but these companies were small businesses. So they sponsored giving our members a discount if anybody purchased the windows or the doors that this particular company was selling, or the life insurance that they were selling, and so on and so forth. So we're just trying to figure out how we can use the experience that many of us have as members in our lives working in business to bring that to the fray for DASCI. Another thing that we did, which was huge, we had a raffle where people will buy tickets and they basically win money. And we're talking $1,000 or $2,000 worth of cash. And we raised a lot of money when we did that. It's a lot of work, but the outcome is very, very good. And the other thing that we do, and I think Newton is the one that pushes this a lot, which is great, it's employee matching. So if you're an employee that works in a company, we have a platinum seal as a giving company. So we've been sanitized, and we have the good seal of approval that we take 100% of your money and we give back to the kids. If you look at our website, you'll see it. It says Candid Platinum Seal. And that means we're transparent with our numbers. We don't hide anything. And because of that, when a company has a giving program for the employees, that seal shows up and it tells that employee who never maybe knew us, hey, you know what, if I give to this company, it's going to go to the right place. It's not going to be taken by the president for her coffers. And so because of that, we do get employees of our members who are still working that give through that company, and we get extra money, if you will. So there's a lot of things that we try to do. This year, for the first time, I applied to 7 grants. I said, you know what, there's money out there. We know that. Yep. But who's want to take the time? So I took the time and I applied to 7 grants. And I didn't ask for a lot of money. I just asked for what I thought we deserved. I didn't expect to get anything. Well, we got $84 from Global Giving.
That's something.
Two people saw it on the Global Giving website. They said, "Oh, you know what? I'll take it." So that means somebody saw us. I'm still waiting for 2 grants that we've put out there that we didn't get a response back from, but that's okay. I didn't get a no yet, but I'm going to do it again next year. So we're just trying many different ways, because without the proper funding, we can't give out the money, and we want to give out 100% of the money. So that's been some examples of some of the programming that we do. But the big one is to raise the money from the gala, independence, to give all that money back to the students, and to do the funding that I talked about with respect to donors and supporters that would be happy to just write a check. So that's what we've done, which is why we're able to give out quite a bit of scholarships. We're giving out, I think it's 47 scholarships this year. Think about that.
And we'll talk about that some more. Anything you'd like to add, Newton?
Yes, as Pat mentioned, the employee match, not only people who are still employed, but retirees can participate too, because some companies do extend to retirees. We also have had a lot of very generous benefactors, individuals who, for whatever reason, appreciate what we're doing and can benefit from giving us a tax gift that they would benefit in their taxes as write-offs, depending on the way that the tax code is written, and depending on the year, because some years it changes. So we have had quite a few substantial benefactors in the past, and we're hoping that we can approach them again to look at us favorably, to continue to support us.
And let's also have a conversation on the importance of relationships, because I like how Pat mentioned 30 years in corporate America, and she made fundraising sound so easy. Someone like me, I can't do no fundraising because it's just not in my wheelhouse, right? But let us just have a conversation, and both of you can feel free to chime in. The importance of relationship as it pertains to the important work that we're all trying to do in supporting Dominica. So let's just speak on that for a minute or two.
And I always tell people, the more people you know, the more people that know you, right? To me, I like that. But you can't be that person that only asks for money.
Right.
You have to be the person that's actually developing a relationship through the 30 years. There are probably 50 people that I still carry. And I share other boards with them, and we are like-minded, and we respect the fact that maybe we've been fortunate financially, but we don't abuse that relationship component, right? We don't mess that up. But I think the way that relationships in this context can be fostered is if I start to get to know you a little better, right, Dr. Simone, I realize, she really likes, I like orchids, and she likes orchids. So that's a conversation point that I can connect with, right? And then you and I become friends in that regard. And so through my conversation, I might say, "Oh, yeah, I'm also on the board of DASCI." And you might say, "What is it?" I say, "What is it?" And you might say, "Oh, so you want to get to know me first before you write a check to me." And that's how I like it. I'll give you a perfect example. When I worked between Solomon Brothers, Citigroup, and JP Morgan Chase, I had the same manager throughout those 3 companies. And now he's becoming my best friend. 4 years ago, I joined his board, and it's Guiding Eyes for the Blind, where we provide seeing eye dogs to blind people for free. That's what we do. 150 dogs every year. We train these dogs and we just give them. You got to apply, but we give them. And I go to the board meeting every 3 months. And I never wanted to ask him for money because he's very fortunate financially. I never, ever wanted to ask him for money because I respect him. 6 months ago at the board meeting, he said, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" It happened to be I was doing a DASCI. And I said, I got this DASCI thing. He goes, "What's that?" I said, he goes, "Send me the information." I said, "Okay, no big deal." So he said, "Well, how do you raise money?" I said, we just kind of this and that. I sent it to him without any expectation. The next thing I know, our treasurer gets a check. That was a pretty nice check.
Wow.
It almost put me to tears.
Wow.
So I said, okay. I met him yesterday because we had another board meeting. And I said, "Hey, by the way," I'm going to call him Joey for now. Joey, the money that you gave us, that's going to help 13 kids get into the next grade. And by the way, we're going to have the event on Saturday, I told him, and I'm going to Dominica next week. He goes, "You know what? If you want me to do it, I can do it again next year."
Wow.
Oh, nice.
That's amazing.
But it's
Good news, Pat. Good news.
good news, right? My
But,
point is, I could have abused that relationship and have been asking him for money for 30 years.
Mhm.
That's not
And I'm so happy you shared that example because relationships, it's an underrated soft skill that many times we don't consider.
Yes.
Many people only show up in our inbox, in our WhatsApp when they're looking for money, when they want money. And I've had that happen all the time where people are reaching out for you. Oh, here's my GoFundMe. Can you fund me? But I'm thinking to myself, what efforts have you made? And the other thing we have to keep in mind is relationships are reciprocal.
Yes.
Right?
yeah,
So we have to stop thinking about what can I get from Dr. Simone? What can I get from Pat? What can I get from Lambie? Instead, you nurture a relationship based on what you're offering
That's right.
to that person. And sometimes, just like you just explained, it's not even thinking along the lines of, well, maybe in the future I'm going to need something from you. Right. And I'm learning so much of that because as of last year, I became a Rotarian. So I am a member of our local Rotary Club here
Wow.
in McDonough. And so I'm seeing how all these relationships that have transpired for many years, how they are now we are now coming to benefit from them because again, and you said it beautifully, Pat, people will donate and gift you when they know you and they trust you.
That's right.
They
Trust-
know you and they trust you. So I want us to get beyond this whole thing because sometimes we're so laser focused on what I am doing, that many times we don't take the time, the energy, the effort to foster those relationships by supporting other people's causes so that if you need them to now support your cause, they will readily do it for you. Because look at how easily the gentleman had his treasurer send you a check. And the other thing many of us don't think about, especially up here in the US, is that for many folks, it's a tax deductible donation. So the money is not necessarily coming out of their pockets. They're going to claim it on their taxes and get it back.
And this year, I think, Newton, I think you're the one who told us that there's an above the line tax credit now.
yes, I think so.
Depending on
So
what
tell us about that, Newton.
Well, I think you don't need to itemize because in the States, sometimes you have to itemize your tax return to be able to claim a donation, a charitable donation. But I think they're going to allow you. I think I'm not sure what the amount is, but they're allowing you now to give a donation up to a certain amount without itemizing your tax return and still get the benefit. So that's a major advantage.
Yeah, and I also want you to speak on the importance of relationship because I think that is the missing element in the equation that many of us, whether it's for business or for individual, we don't consider.
Right, because I was thinking while you guys were talking, it definitely doesn't exist in a vacuum. Because the people I spoke about or mentioned in terms of referred to as far as being our generous benefactors, these are people that you've known over the years. They have watched what you're doing. I've got calls from people who say, well, you know what? I see you guys are doing the work. I'm not willing to do the work, but you guys are doing the work, so I'll give you the money. So that sort of thing. And we also make very strong contact with the other Caribbean associations in the area.
Good.
We have a very strong relationship with the St. Lucia, at least two St. Lucia organizations. We have relationships with two other Dominican organizations, one in Tampa and one in Orlando.
Oh, that must be Tampa Bay Association. Is that Doran Shillingford? She's one of my biggest supporters.
Right.
And I was about to ask you that question.
Right. And Orlando has one too. I think Laville, or what's her name? Not Laville. Her parents were Lavilles. She's come on, I forgot the name offhand. Okay. But she has an organization in Orlando, And we reach out to them too. We sometimes attend their events and they come to ours. So that's another strong contact that we have within the region.
I need to
You
tell
know,
you
so
a story
it's
about
good.
Newton regarding
Yes.
relationships. So
And we're willing to reach out further too, you know,
I didn't know Newton.
especially in New York with Dada.
So Newton, here's the story. I didn't know Newton at all. I only knew the Garraway name because
Can you hear me?
Dominican,
Yes, we can hear you.
right? Can you hear us,
Something
Newton?
went dead.
Oh,
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oops. What's
We hear-
going on?
we can hear you, Newton.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear a thing.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's not
What the deuce is that?
Let's see. You might have to text him iPad and tell him to log off and log back in, because I think we've been having a lot of issues with electricity in Dominica. So I think the studio, the radio studio dropped, but we're still live on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay,
So I'm going to actually text the studio and let them know that I don't know if the electricity went off in Dominica, which has been a frequent occurrence.
yes. It is
As
true.
of late, but I muted Newton, so text him and let him know.
He just texted us through your chat and says can't hear. I don't know if you
Okay, all right, so he can log off. Tell him log off and log back in.
I believe he just did.
Okay, cool. So let's wait for him, and in the meantime, let me text our engineer. But go ahead, Pat. I think you wanted to share.
I'm going to tell you the story on. Let me just tell him to log back in, because it goes back to relationships that you need to pass down to your children. And I'll tell you how Newton's relationship got passed down to me from my father.
Right.
So, and it's a sad story, but let me just tell him to log back in. But it's a good story. Log.
So guys, give us 1 minute. We're trying to rectify this.
So meanwhile, I'll tell you a story. So
Mhm.
I didn't know Newton. I just knew the Garraway name because of the hotel in Dominica. My father was very, very sick in 2020. And I had to airlift him out of Dominica. And so we had him stay we rented a house in Florida for my father to try to recuperate. He never did. After my father passed in the home, Newton Garraway realized that my dad passed. I didn't know Newton. He comes into the house and I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I want to pay my respects to your dad." Apparently, Newton knew my father and my uncle Alec. They all went to school together. And I thought to myself, this guy, and he brought this huge thing of mangoes to the house. Now, I don't like mangoes, but I was happy to get them because then I can give them to people who like mangoes, right? But my point is, the fact that I saw how he interacted with my father on my father's deathbed, and my uncle Alec to tell me that Newton and him were like this as kids, I said, you know what? This guy can't be all that bad if my father and my uncle. So when I had an opportunity to become the president of DASCI, knowing that I was going to work with him as the chair of the committee, I said, I'll be happy to, because the relationship got passed down to me. So what I start to do with my kids, I pass my relationships down to them.
Absolutely.
And I think, we talk about relationships this way, but I think we need to talk about it in terms of growing a tree and extending it out to the family, your children, my children, that sort of thing. Right? Because it's hard for kids these days to develop relationships because all they have is thumbs.
Right.
Right. So we have to kind of help them kind of get there. So I just wanted to share that story on how I got to know Newton.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. Newton, you can hear us now?
I can. I'm back in.
Yes, and the studio in Dominica is back with us, so we're all set and ready to go. And that's the other thing too, right? Our reputation precedes us, because I think many times, and it's sad now because of social media. So social media has amplified people's reputations, and I think many times we see people get on social media and the things that they're saying and posting, and then they're looking for our business. And I'm thinking, and it's happened right here in Atlanta. This one particular girl, I won't call her name or anything, but she has this Dominica restaurant that she's trying to start up. But then in the meantime, she's on social media every day. You know the word mepui, so we know what we're talking about. She's on social media giving this person mepui and that person mepui. And I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to do business with you? No. Because God forbid we have a dispute about some aspects of your restaurant, some aspect of the meal you prepared for me. Now I'm going to be concerned that you're going to go on social media and blast me.
Yes.
Right? So I don't think we kind of think those things through in terms of our reputation, in terms of our ability to build relationships. And so many of us, and I think this is important because I want to speak to those among us who want to start organizations such as yours. So I'm really happy that you're advising us in this important aspect that many of us do not consider, right? Because many times we think of networking as this formal events that we go to, and everybody's uncomfortable and everybody's just giving their little speech about their business, and it's so inauthentic.
Yeah, it is.
Right? It is so non-organic, but networking can be so much more informal and successful. Let's talk on that for 2 seconds and then we're going to move on. But I love having this conversation because, again, it is a topic many of us do not consider.
Yeah, it's when I was in investment banking, we used to hire, 300, 400 kids in the summer, and we would tell them, don't forget the network. Now, we never finished the sentence. So what do you think they were doing? Collecting business cards. Like, hello,
Right.
That's not the homework. The homework is, do you know who you talk to? Not what their title is, but who are they? So I tell people, you know what? I can network with you if I really do it right. I could walk into your office, Dr. Simone, and even if you're not in it, I can kind of, spend like 5 seconds to kind of see what you kind of value and what you think is important. And I can figure out what is it that I have in my 66 years of life that I can connect with you in your office. And I'm going to hold that in my pocket. So the next time we talk, I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to go into Newton's office and I'm going to see a whole series of other things. You know what? He reads the same books I do. I'm going to put that in this pocket. And I'm going to carry that with me when I think it's an opportunity for me to share with you. We're connected in more ways than you think. Because people don't connect because they don't think that they are connected. Right? I always look at I'm the one who's going to lose if I don't say hello.
Right.
So I always say hello.
Right. And listen, I want to come to you, but that even extends to interviews.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of times there's social media everywhere now. There's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. But many times we have our young people going to these interviews without researching the person who's going to interview them.
Exactly.
You have to know. And I like what you just said about connecting on something, because everybody's going to come with the same standard responses to the questions. How are you going to distinguish yourself?
That's right.
So that the interviewer is going to remember you for a reason? Find out something that they know. Find out something that they're interested in. Look up their name on social media. And I think it is quite appropriate if you get a job interview to just say, in my preparation process, I would be interested in knowing who's going to be interviewing me. And this is the end of the school year. We have so many young people graduating, but are they prepared for the opportunities in the workspace because they're not focused on those areas? So guys, again, we always encourage you to share these programs, especially to our young people, because we know they're not logging on voluntarily to programs such as this. We're quite knowledgeable of that, but share the information with them so that they know how to prepare for success as they go into the world of work. Newton, let me come over to you. Any comments at this point?
Well, I was just, there is a challenge as far as, especially there's a generation gap, particularly in terms of the technology use and as you were saying, the kind of advantage people take when they do plan on using it, because what we would like to see is a little more involvement in terms of people planning to give things without expecting too much back, So, and that's a challenge. So and I'm particularly thinking in terms of what do we do going forward, because we have been running this organization now for 24 years. And Pat, thank God, we were able to get Pat to lead, and she's doing a fantastic job. But we both have challenges. We talk about it a lot of times. So hopefully we can get the younger folks to get on board,
Yeah, and you segued nicely into the next question I was going to ask. So let's kind of talk about your challenges, and then we're going to talk about your successes. And then I want you to tell us what you're working on, how the general public can support you. But let's stay on the challenges right now. And I think many of us in these organizations can attest to the fact that it is difficult to get our young people involved. And so I was wondering if by having culture in your name, if you're using any aspect of culture to try to attract them to boo your music. Well, not the nasty business. I'm not for the nasty but Signal Band. Everybody knows Signal Band is my favorite band. But are you using any aspect of our culture? How are you trying to engage the young people?
Yeah. So you want to go first, Newton, or you want to say?
Go ahead, Pat.
And in my mind, I'll answer that. But there's two types of challenges. One is the young people in terms of a pipeline, and the other is what we're faced with as a nonprofit for fundraising, which is a whole other can of worms. But in terms of how do you engage young people, embedded in the programming that we do, let's say for the scholarship ceremony, we're going to award 47 some odd scholarships. Embedded in that program, we always look for a prominent Dominican or a person from Dominica that has, I'll say, made it, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. Right? Last year, it was the doctor of neonatology who happens to be the doctor of neonatology at the hospital 5 minutes from my house. And I didn't even know she was Dominican.
Wow.
Okay. She's from Roseau, Dr. Georgie, as an example. So she was the speaker.
Well, is that Marilyn Georgie?
Yes.
Oh, I know her well. She's been on my program. I know her well.
She was the speaker at the ceremony for the award scholarships. And at the end, the students asked her questions. And they were, I don't know how I could explain it. Like, how is it that a kid from Rosa can be that prompt? They couldn't. So many of them said, because of that, now they want to do what she does. Now they think that they can actually be what they see, right? Because they don't see enough role models from our country. Jody Dublin Dengelman is, I think, a speaker this Saturday. That's another example of kids who want to be entrepreneurs after they've gone to a corporate job. So we try to figure out where in everything we do can we influence to have them see role models, because if they don't see themselves, they don't think they could be themselves, right? So that's one piece of that. At our events, we always try to do something for the kids. At our picnic, we always have kid games. We don't want just the adults be sitting there. And when we do our parades, when we have our Independence Day, we invite the people to bring their kids to also dress them up in the national wear. So we try in all those ways to do that. But the way we do it the best, I think, is when we host our ceremony, where I would say 45 to 55% of the time that we devote to the event is for the kids who are getting the awards and letting them see what success might look like, if you will, to bust the myth that they have to follow the same line everybody else followed. And that has been very, very good. It's hard to measure, right? We don't track the 20 years ago of all the kids who came through our coffers, but we feel good. You got that gut feeling that it's working, at least in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nathan?
Yeah, and in relation to the culture, we do try to have events that enhance and focus on the cultural aspects of Dominica. We try to get local dancers who still perform our local, ballet and those types of dances. And that comes out fine. We dress in our national wear as often as possible when we have our events. We try reaching out to other cultural people in the area and try to do things and jointly. The St. Lucians come to mind when they have events like the Journée Creole and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, and as far as it relates, it tends to connect with at least make the younger folks recognize that there is a Dominica still that we want to promote, And I know the parents like it, and the problem is we're hoping that the kids also recognize their source and where they come from and the kind of culture that the area that they come from and what it's about. Mm-hmm. So that's an important factor for us, and we try to push it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And let me just say congratulations, because I just love the idea that you're networking and partnering with other Caribbean islands, because too many of us take the word island literally, right? That everything, we're doing is just Dominica. And we don't see the value in including the other islands. And given the geopolitical challenges of this world, now more than ever, with all this US visa ban and this and that and the other, now more than ever, we as Caribbean people have to start looking towards each other
That's right.
to see what are the opportunities both in the Caribbean region and out here in the US. But, as we're talking about culture, anytime an issue comes up, I always like to say we all have to hold the mirror to our face, right? So when we speak of culture, it is difficult for DASCI to be able to attract young people to our culture because we as parents who were born in Dominica but have children who were born in the US are not doing a good job. And I'm going to raise my hand as one of those parents because it only dawned on me recently, maybe about a year ago. Our daughter is 14 years old. And it only dawned on me that every time I'm listening to Signal Band, WCK Band, Caribbean Band, reggae, I have my AirPods in my ears. And it dawned on me, and I'm like, well, how are you? And my husband is Haitian American, right? So it dawned on me that I am part of the problem because I was not exposing Sophia to our music. So now we are blasting compa, we are blasting, and she loves the music. So now I'm trying to teach her the difference between soca, buyo, compa, reggae, and the important people, because it is important for those who are born here to support. They're never going to be as passionate as we are, having been born in Dominica, but we can pass on an appreciation of our Dominicanness, I'm going to call it, to our children by ensuring, she loves Dominican food, so that's a given, right? She's not into mac and cheese or anything like that. She loves Dominican food, but I realized that the onus was on me to immerse her into our culture as much as possible, because unfortunately, she's not growing up in New York, where every weekend there's something Caribbean going. Where we are in south of Atlanta, there's nothing going on. So it's my responsibility. So that is my plea to every parent who you were born in Dominica, but your children were born in America, the UK, wherever else. It is your responsibility to ensure that your children have an appreciation of their culture. Speak the Creole language to them. She only know the word dweebe right now because I'm always telling my mother if she's out dweebeing, but we're going to teach them more.
But you make a valid point. My daughter and my son, it's music and food. They get that. My daughter, to this day, keeps asking me, how come I never taught her patois? And I said, well, I didn't teach her because I didn't learn it from my parents, if you will, right? I can understand it, but I can't speak it. And even if I could speak it, my husband's from Grenada, he doesn't speak it. So I'm going to be speaking to myself.
Right.
So for those of you who can teach your kids patois, that is huge. That is huge. That's one thing I wish I did better as a parent.
Yeah, and that is one of the reasons, because I grew up in Roseau, I actually learned to speak Creole because I joined KEC, the Committee Poetic Creole. And I made it a point because I'm like, how's she gonna have a mother from Dominica and a father is Haitian American and she can't speak Creole?
You have to.
So we all have our work to do in terms of making our children more culturally sensitive, because organizations such as yours and all the other Dominican organizations that do such wonderful work, they're not going to be able to continue into the future if we have nobody to hand it down to.
We don't have
I think that is so important. Newton, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Oh.
I think we have to ask him the questions first because he always.
I know. He seems to be having internet problems. But Pat, while we're waiting for him, let's speak on other challenges that you're facing, because I'm sure despite the generosity of your donors, funding might be another one. So I always like to cover that topic for anyone who's thinking of starting an organization such as yours and might be struggling. So you mentioned grant writing. So how did you learn to write grants?
Well, so corporate America, right? You do that. I was the head of diversity for JP Morgan Chase for 2 years. Okay. That was the last job that I had before I retired 9 years ago. And so I didn't have to write as many as I had to read. Because people were always asking us for money. Can I have $1? Can I have a dime? And I'm like, let me see how you write. Let me see if this makes sense. So there's this tool out there called ChatGPT. So if you go out to ChatGPT, because I said, you know what? There's so much information out there. I need to figure out how I can get my hands on it. So I went to ChatGPT and I did a couple of queries. And I said, here's the DASCI mission statement. Here's the funding that we're looking for. Here's what we do with our money. Find me grants where our application, our nonprofit would fit the requirement. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And I said, okay, send me the ones that are open now. You know?
I love it. I love it.
So I have a spreadsheet with all the grants around the world, Asia, Latin America, Dominica, the Caribbean, United States, where we, Dominica DASCI, would fit the requirement. Costco had one I filled it out for, as an example, right? Costco Wholesale has a grant program. The Hanson family is the other one. Vilcheck is another one. Oh goodness, there was like 3 or 4 more. I have a spreadsheet, and I have a spreadsheet that tells me when it's going to open again, because they don't open at the same time. Some might be in February, some might be March. So I said, okay, I don't mind writing. I love filling out forms. I can fill out forms till I die. I have no problem filling out forms. So I said, you know what, I'm retired. Let me figure out how I fill out this form. So I said, let me create a template of the same answer that I would give to no matter what grant I fill out. So I have a profile of all the grants that I was going to do. I took the profile of all the grant information that is similar to maybe 70% of all these applications. And then I had to rewrite the other 20% by hand. Mm-hmm. And then I just submitted it, and I waited. Wow. I waited, and I waited, and I waited. So that's how you do it. So ask ChatGPT based upon what you want, what grants. Now, there's something called the grant portal where they have many more than I got in my little ChatGPT, which you have to pay. I'm not paying a darn thing to get money. I want free money.
Absolutely.
So if you want to spend money on this grant portal system, I don't know where their money goes. I wasn't going to do it. But I was satisfied with the list of grant things that I received, because there is money to get out there. There really is. The huge thing that I think is money that people leave on the table is company matching.
Yeah.
If you get the seal of approval from candid.org that your nonprofit is a good one, when a company downloads nonprofits that they want to offer their employees to give during Giving Tuesday, which is usually December 2nd every year, you want your company to be on that list. And
okay, I think Pat froze for a second. So
I
guys, we're going to navigate all these technical issues. You know, the devil is a liar, but we're going to push forward. I wanted her to mention that website again that she talked about. Yes, go ahead, Pat. You froze for just a second. Go ahead. What was the website you mentioned again? Candid.com?
CANDID.org.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And the other one is Global Giving. The other one is the Global Giving Portal. There are two.
And but that one was which one was the fee, included a fee?
The one that you don't want is called the Grant Portal. Do not do that one.
Okay. So the other one is Global Giving.
Global Giving that's the one I got $68 from.
Okay, but it's still something. Globalgiving.com.
And then candid.org. In Global Giving, you can create programs. So I created a program for the scholarships that we were just offering. And I said, excellent. And this fits so nicely into the concept of this program, right? Change as the only constant, because we find so many of us are afraid of change. So instead of trying to embrace ChatGPT for what it can do for us, we're stuck on the fear that, you know, AI is going to extinguish the world. Yeah, we have to be concerned about AI, right? I'm not saying we don't have to be concerned, but in the meantime, we don't just sit on the sideline and say, me boy, I'm not touching that thing now. No, we have to see it for what it is capable of doing for us. So I'm really happy that you shared that example with us, because that is an area. Funding is an area that so many of our organizations are struggling with. So I like that you said that what you do, and I want our organizations to listen very closely. What you do is you go on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is completely free. You just go chatgpt.com, you create an account, and you enter, as Pat said, the mission of your organization, what you're raising funds for. And then you ask ChatGPT to recommend funding organizations. And I bet you ChatGPT can also write you a script for what to include in the grant writing. Am I wrong or am I right, Pat? You're right. And it'll tell you the way you should write it to be a higher level of expectation that it'll pass. Right. It'll tell you if you use this word, it knows what the test is for the organizations that are reviewing the documents. So yes, please.
And again, those of us who are stuck on fear with ChatGPT, guess what? You're already using it. Anytime you go on Google and you type anything
That's right.
in, the first response that is popping up on your phone, on your screen, is from AI.
From
So
bot.
don't be sitting on the sideline being fearful of AI. You're already using it, right? So you might as well use it to your benefit if you're looking for grant funding. So Newton, your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, I'm smiling because it right now, because it's so new. There's such a issue in relation to the concern some higher educators have based on what the kids are doing at school with it.
Yep.
So it's a good thing, but like everything else that's been happening lately, you can do good or bad. So so hopefully they'll use it for good. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
it is maybe a big help, and well, let's face it, the data is there. It's just to access it, and that's a tool to access the data.
I like the way you
So
put that. And not to get off script too far, and we're going to go to the studio to invite the callers to call in, but not to get off script too far. Speaking about using it inappropriately in education, somebody sent to me a news story the other day of this young man. He was graduating. He was walking the stage. And he literally had a paper up in his hand showing all the way he cheated using ChatGPT. And guess what happened? They revoked his degree.
of course,
How dumb can you be? You're
Well,
walking the
pretty
stage
dumb.
at graduation and you're exposing the fact that you cheated through your entire college career. Now, what are you going to do without a degree?
That's it.
But
it's a challenge.
this is a wonderful conversation, Pat and David. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go to the studios and now to invite the callers, and I'm going to take the comments on the phone. But if you tune in late, we are here with the Dominica-America Scholarship and Culture, Inc., DASCI, and we're talking about how can we secure the future of Dominican students. We are joined by the president of DASCI, Ms. Pat David, as well as the chairperson of the scholarship committee, Mr. Newton Garraway. So all names that are very familiar to us in Dominica. So we're very happy that they are joining us today to tell us about all the wonderful work that they're doing. So let's head over to the studio. Lambi, you can invite the callers to call in to make their contributions.
Roots and Q taking your calls at the moment. The numbers are as follow: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. Those are all local numbers. The overseas or the international number is as follows: 305-432-9624. Let me run those one more time. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, and 305-432-9624. We're standing by for your call. Back to you, Simone.
Yes, thank you for that, Lambi. So let's say good evening again to Neil Cuffy, Veronica, Pascal, Judith Pastina. Let's see who else is here. My mom, Medina Senhouse. Good night, Darrows, Deros, listening and watching. And by the way, Pat, my dad was from Vegas, so we might have a connection with you. He's a Senhouse from Vegas of blessed memory. Philson George, nice to see you, Philson. We're looking forward to having you on another program shortly. Philson says, very good program. And he says, good evening, Dr. Simone and all the panelists. And let's see who else we have with us. Carrie Chamby.
Yeah, so
Tell us more about the scholarship process. Oh boy, Carrie, you're jumping the gun. We're going right there in just a minute, Carrie. And then Tisha Ines, I'm here. Good night. So guys, thank you for being in the comment section. And we are going right into the scholarship because, of course, we know this is the end of the school year. So we have a lot of students who are either going to advance from one level of education to another level, or they're going to graduate and go on into the work field. So yes, we're going to talk about the scholarships. So tell us about the scholarships so we can talk about the criteria for the scholarship and the application process. How do you select the students? So let's just open up the discussion and talk about the scholarships. So who qualifies for the scholarships?
Well, can I just say before he answers, Carrie is the activities director for DASCI.
Oh,
She's
nice
the one that told me to call you to get on the show.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Excellent. Thank you for that. We appreciate your support.
So,
yes, as the chairman of the scholarship committee, Newton, let me come to you.
Yes. The scholarships for Dominica, we first offer, because of our limited funds, we don't open it up to the whole island. We know that there are 4 zones for school zones, north, south, east, and west in Dominica, and each zone has, and as again, we target primary schools, so each zone has a certain amount of primary schools. So we open it up for applications to specific zones each year, and we usually rotate. So this year we'll do the West Zone, next year we'll choose another zone. So that's how it starts. The criteria for the scholarship itself, you have to have at least a B average, graduating from primary, of course, in the graduating class. You have to do an essay about your autobiography. Tell us something about yourself, why you need the scholarship, what you do at school, what you do at school, how you do with your community, involvement, and tell us generally about yourself. So that's the focus of the actual essay. Then we look at your grades. As I said, you have to be at least a B to qualify, and then we get the information from the schools. We accept certain. We give you a time frame to forward your application, and if once you meet all the criteria, then we have a scoring process we use among the committee. We have about 4 or 5 people in the committee, and we go through a scoring process. And once we do our scoring, we match it to the school. As I said, we won't bother approach you if you're less than a B. And once we've finished the scoring, then we decide based on the ranking criteria from 1 to how many students we have applied, how much we can afford to give. We generally have a budget preset because of the funds in our coffers. So we know, and we have a pretty good idea how many scholarships we want to give for that year. And that's how we go about it. So we hope that one thing we would like to do is have the teachers, we approach the teachers first, of course, the primary school teachers and principals. And we have them, once we chose the school, then we offer them the scholarships and we send them all the information. And they take the helm and try to have the kid complete and send the application back to us on time. And once that's completed and we make our choices, then we inform them and we go from there.
Yeah, and I wanted to take our time with this information because I know people are listening attentively because, again, school has just ended, and what parent doesn't want their child, correct me if I'm wrong, to receive a scholarship of EC $2,000 towards their education on the high school level. But let me ask this as well, because I know, Pat, you're going down to Dominica. Is that is part of the award ceremony of the scholarships, right? But nope. Is there a needs criteria in any of the application? Because there's so many parents who just need the help.
So I'll answer it this way, and then maybe Newton. So I'm going down for family stuff, but I'm going to meet with the teachers. But the graduation ceremony is a Saturday. We do it on a Saturday, which is fine. And the one thing I think Newton maybe should have also included in the application requirement is 2 recommendations. We have to get 2 recommendations, not from your father, not from your mother. two
Yes.
recommendations
Two
about that.
reference letters. That's right.
The assumption is, and 9 out of 10 times, Dr. Simone, when the student writes the essay, they include the financial need of the family.
Right.
They include it. But we're not looking to give this money to pay the light bill. We're
Right.
looking for this money to pay for the book for the student to go to school. But we don't ask for any bank account. But when you read some of these essays, it's pretty clear that there's a financial burden on the student. If it's single family home, more than one child, one kid is maybe sick, whatever. So we read that. And the one thing that I want to re-impress upon what Newton said is, when the scholarship committee reads the applications, and this year we had 52, I think, that came in, each of the 4 or 5 members read it independently. So I don't know what your score is going to be. You don't know what my score is going to be. So if I get 52 applications, I'm reading them on my own. I'm updating the spreadsheet on my own. So 4 of those people are sending Newton 52 applications 4 times. He puts it into a database, hits the enter key, and it ranks it. So there's no bias in the process,
Right.
if you will. And then we just draw the line.
Right. So help me with this information. So what's happening on Saturday? Let's talk about what's going on Saturday.
So after the committee has reviewed all the applications and did the aggregate scoring, they have come back to the board that says, we got 52 applications. We drew the line at number 43 because we have enough money to pay for 43 students. And here are the kids that are going to get the rewards. We've announced that to the parents and the principals and the kids. So we've said to them this Saturday, we did this 3 weeks ago. We said on Saturday, we'd like you to join the call. It's a 2-hour call. If you go to our website, you'll see the invite. You'll see the link for the Zoom. Anybody can join if they want to. We are going to acknowledge each of the students. We're going to ask them for a little photo, ask them to answer a few questions about, how they feel and all this other good stuff. And then next week, we're going to get the wire instructions from the school. We're going to wire the money to the school. We'll tell the parent, your money's here, come get it. We're going to have them co-sign that they got the money, and then they'll be done.
Yeah. So
as well, like we do every year, that recognizes all the work that was done.
So that is the tricky question, right? Because I think, was it Newton that said we want to make sure it doesn't go to the electric bill? So if the parents are getting the money,
Yes.
and we all know how difficult times are in Dominica,
Yes.
how
Yes.
are we ensuring that this money is going towards the students' education? Trust system? Are we just trusting?
It's hard because I think it's hard to say give us the receipts. It's hard to, but we say it so many times. Even on Saturday, Newton's going to say it again. He's going to say it again and again and again and again.
Okay.
And again.
Right.
And the hope is the kid gets the books and the snacks and the clothes that they need to go to school.
But let me answer that, because initially when we started, it was much easier. We had control because we generally would piggyback on the credit union system, because I know a lot of credit unions have scholarships that they themselves run. And at the time, it was easy to send money to the credit union. We could open accounts there. I did it myself a couple of times. And I would ask them to run the program for us, just as they ran their own scholarship programs. So the parent would have to come into the credit union, show proof that the kid is at school and was doing well, and they had bought the books, maybe show a receipt or whatever, and then they would be refunded. But since we ran into the problem with money laundering, it is almost impossible now to open a credit union account. You have to be a member. And so that, talking about challenges, that's part of it. You have to be a member. You have to be, at least 1 or 2 of us have to be members. And it's now a requirement. So it's very difficult to open a credit union account. So now we have decided to go to the schools to handle the process. So we asked the principals of each school to run that distribution of funds for us. So now it's the integrity now is left to the school principal. And that's the angle we're taking now. But we would prefer if we had a man on the ground in Dominica that was a member of the organization
Right, that's what
that
I was
would,
thinking.
yeah, that would manage that for us. We've tried a few times, but we haven't been able to get to that level yet.
Right.
So it's a
Somebody
challenge.
trustworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
For your listeners, every January is when we pick the school, Dr. Simone. So for those listening, January of 2027, check out the DASCI website. You'll see the schools that we have identified that we're going to pick out that will be eligible to
Right.
apply for scholarships in 2027.
Right, because that was going to be my next question. So thank you for that. So it is too late to apply
That's
for
right.
this year, for the school year starting in September of 2026.
That is
But
correct.
just to reiterate what you're saying,
correct.
is there a date in January or just check at the end of January?
It's usually the middle of January because we have our first general meeting, and that's when we pick out the names of the hat. So it's like the 17th or 18th of January, something in that regard.
So parents, you have a homework assignment. If you're truly in need, you truly want your young people, your students to get a scholarship again, it has to be a student who's graduating from primary school, correct me if I'm wrong, and going on to high school. And what zone are you looking at? Do you know the zone?
Next year, we haven't decided yet because we look at the criteria, we try to balance it out. So if a zone has had a certain amount of applications, we try to balance it out over the course of the year. So we'll pick another zone that maybe has not had many people in the past and to bring them up to the level because we try to give a balanced amount to every zone.
Mm-hmm.
And if
All right, so go ahead, Pat.
If your parents go on the site right now, they'll see what the previous application looked like. It's 98% going to be the same. So they can see what the language is.
Yeah,
You're very good at reading my mind, Pat. Because that was going to be my next question. So again, if you are listening and you are not on the Facebook or the YouTube, Facebook and YouTube, the website is in the comment section. But if you're listening and you really want your young person, whether it's your child, your niece, your nephew, your godchild, to qualify for this scholarship, 2,000 EC dollars towards books and school supplies. The website, I hope by now you've grabbed your pen and paper. Everybody knows when you're listening to Roots Connections, you have to make sure you have a pen and paper. Is www.D as in David, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, I as in India.org. Again, www.dasci.org. You do not want these opportunities to pass you by. Set a reminder on your calendar, set a reminder in your phone for January of 2027, so you can go ahead and check when the application process is open. And then once you fill out the application, let's talk about the deadline. What is the deadline for submitting the application once the application process opens in January? How long do parents have?
January, February, March, April. I think towards the end of April. I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
This year it was, I think it's April, May. Wait a minute, I'll tell you. Application deadline. A minute. May 1st was this year, so it would probably be the same next year.
All right. So you're taking notes. Again, you're taking notes. If you're a parent, your concerned relative, your friend of a child who is so promising. And you know, our young people in Dominica are so promising. We're all a product of the Dominica education system, and we know the impact that education has had on us. So again, write this down, set a reminder for January so you can review the application process. I gave out the website, and also look at you have quite a bit of time. We all know how busy everybody is, but DASCI is giving you a great amount of time to complete the application. So when it opens in January, it ends May 1st. So you have January, February, March, April, May, right? You have 3 months to complete the application process, and the application process is on the website, so you can take a look. Anything else you want to chime in on right now?
I know. Yeah.
Pat, you wanted to say something?
I don't know if you were- So
Yeah, what,
the reason why we use that date as the date to get it back by, because the grades will be in by then. We have to wait for the grades to be ready. That's why that date is that date.
Right.
Last semester grades. That's how,
Yes.
but yeah.
well,
That
there are a
makes sense.
couple other things too. We want to catch the kid prior to them leaving the primary school, because a lot of times what happens if the school has graduation prior to us getting a decision, then the principal of that school has sometimes loses contact with the kid because the kid is gone, school is closed. So we want to be sure that we do it on time, so the principal has control still of when we decide what kid is going to get an award. So that's a key thing, and we move quick after that to follow up the process and make sure everybody knows that they're getting an award and they be prepared to go forward.
Excellent.
And,
Thank you
and
for
one of the challenges we have when we do get applications is that they sometimes send it piecemeal. Now
Yep.
that didn't happen much in the past, but we noticed lately it's been happening. So we have to insist that the application comes in one piece. If you need 5 things, make sure you have all 5 things in place before you send it out. Yeah.
Right. That is an excellent point, because that's a question of accountability. So again, parents, relatives, friends, listen very carefully. Do not send one item today, one item tomorrow, one item next week. You know, it's an honor to receive the scholarship. I'm going to put it this way: $2,000 goes a long way. Right? The economy is hard, but $2,000 is still $2,000. So just do the right thing, collect all the information, keep it in a folder, an envelope, something somewhere safe. And then when you're done, submit it as one application. I would even go to the point of saying, you know what, if you're doing the piecemeal thing because you want to discourage it, I would deny the application and ask the person to resubmit it as a whole application. Because sometimes we have to hold our community members, we have to hold their feet to the fire and let them know, you know what, we were just talking about the right way to do relationships and all that stuff. There is a right way to fill out an application. And if the organization is asking you to submit it as one package, then you should be disqualified if you choose not to submit it as one package. And they should ask you to resubmit everything together. Your thoughts, guys? Am I being too harsh?
No, we do that.
No, at all, because we have it on the application. It's in bold print, and it's the 3rd line down after the organization's name. It says no application will be accepted unless complete.
Right.
So
But they're
it's
still
right
but
there.
they're still sending it piecemeal, right?
That's
Yeah.
it. So
Help our people.
Because if they're sloppy with us, they're sloppy with their boss, right? Their manager, their supervisor, right? So, you gotta.
Yeah. And you know, I just want to mention that I was the beneficiary of one such scholarships, because when I was leaving high school, going on to college, you know, my family comes from very humble means, and the Rotaract Club of Dominica, which is the junior section of the Rotary Club, they offered me a scholarship. I was even in the newspaper. I was so excited.
excellent.
So I know what it is like to be on the receiving end of these scholarships. Let's take a message from Tisha. She says, Newton has done a fantastic job chairing the scholarship committee under Pat's leadership. So cool you have this program, Dr. Simone, to get the word out. Well, thank you, Tisha. It's my pleasure. You know, I always say we all have a role to play in the development of our country, right? So I play my role, Newton plays his role, Pat plays her role, Carrie plays her role. And so we put the pieces together and we develop our country. Are we missing anything else from the application process? Because I want to make sure we're covering everything. We're going to take our time. We're not going to rush, because I want to make sure everybody has the information.
No, it's
We're
5 pieces.
good?
It's 5 pieces. It's pretty simple, but people can make it difficult if they don't follow the rules.
Right.
Yes. So let's carry on then, and let us just talk. Let's kind of like open the conversation up. I like to also include the broader conversation. So what role do you see the scholarship playing in the economic sustainable development of Dominica? For example, do you have a criteria where, those who are receiving the scholarship, I always believe in Kudme, right? That you should not receive if you're not willing to give, right? So do you have anything that the students must now do because they are beneficiary of this scholarship? Or are you considering an option such as this?
Yeah. Well, you want to go? Or you want me to say something?
Well, it's difficult for us in that regard because we know what it's like at home. And it's a one-time payment, even if it's 2,000 EC dollars, but it's not a follow-up kind of program.
Right.
And we elected not to do a follow-up program because in the beginning, we were not sure how long we would last. So we didn't want to commit to a kid to say, oh, we'll support you for 5 years and we're gone in 2.
Right.
So with that in mind, we decided, okay, let's just give a one-time payment, have it set for helping a young kid to start off in school and to advance his education. And we really didn't set any other criteria for getting it.
Right, that can be a challenge, especially since you don't have a representative on the ground. I can certainly understand why that would be a challenge. But just tell us about what the response has been when these young people are getting the scholarships, the response from the young people, the response from their parents. What has the response been to your scholarship given in Dominica?
Well, in the last couple of years, we've had tremendous response.
Yes.
And in fact, when I compare the results we get and the interest we get from the U.S. compared to Dominica, it's chalk and cheese.
Wow.
Sometimes we have nobody interested in the U.S. And in Dominica, we always have enough or sometimes too much. Most times too much because we don't have the money, to give all the ones that are applying. So the response has been very good. And we've had parents tell us so in writing and verbally, so we know. And then if you read some of the letters that we get, we are definitely sure that it's serving a good purpose.
And if you go to DNO and you just do a search on DASCI, you'll see the several years of press releases. We do 2 every year.
Okay.
The one we're going to be doing after the ceremony is one that we're going to include testimonies from the teachers, the parents, or the students. Right. So if you look at the DNO presses that we've done prior, you'll see the exact verbiage of what the principal is saying about the scholarship and the impact the family is saying and the student. And when we hold the ceremony and you hear the family, the mother or the father or the guardian get up and talk, it's like, wow, we did that.
Right.
It makes you feel good. It just makes you feel good.
Yeah, and I'm very big, of course, with media communication. So one of the things I was wondering if you do or if you can consider doing is, I'm sure you're always looking for donations from the general public. Have you ever considered having the parents talking about giving back to what you're doing? Yes, the students can, but have you ever considered having the testimony of the parents on video and then posting it to your social media?
We have not. But I guess we shall.
Yeah, we learn from each other. I'll
tell you.
That would be powerful. That would be so powerful.
It would be powerful. Last year, for the first time, I think under Carrie, who's on the call, her leadership, when we wanted to roll out a communication for our Independence Day Gala, she said, let's try to do some Facebook commercials or ads.
Yeah.
And one of our members' granddaughters was able to help us put together some really nice audio and video that we pushed out on Facebook, right? So now we know we can do that. It gives us more courage to ask the parents to do some videos. And now we know how we would actually get the content out there, because we don't have a social media person. We have volunteers, 85% of which are over the age of 60, so we're very, we're very careful on what we are able to accomplish and be successful at.
Right. And speaking about Newton, I'm coming to you. And speaking about engaging the young people, that's an opportunity to engage the younger people because, they're all smarter than we are. The stuff I see my daughter studying at 14, I did it in college. So we all know that they're smarter than we are. And they're great with technology and social media. So we can lean into them. And who doesn't like to be considered an expert, right? We want to boost their egos and say to them, this is how you can really help us. Can you help us with social media? Can you help us with the technology? Let's see, Carrie's saying something here. She says for a relatively small organization like DASCI to provide US $750 to over 40 children on a yearly basis is no small feat. Kudos to the board members and DASCI supporters. Carrie, I could not agree more. Very well said. Yeah, so something to consider, especially for Saturday. A few of the parents will be shy and will not want to do it, but a 1 to 2 minute video just to say, thank you for the support. This will go a long way into supporting my child's education, my child's future, and post it on social media. And if you send it to me, I'll be more than happy to share it with my 20,000 followers, plus like the other 20 Facebook pages I'm connected to. I would be more than happy to share it for you because, again, I am always prepared to play my role with broadcast media. Newton, over to you. Anything you want to share?
Well, one of the things we like to have happen is that the kids who are getting awards show up at the award ceremony and the Zoom event when we have it. So hopefully, last year we had quite a good attendance and everybody was pleased with the way it went. This year, I think it should be as good, if not better. Yeah. So if anybody's listening that's a parent or one of the kids, please make a big effort to attend on Saturday.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I don't want us to miss the opportunity to speak about the U.S. scholarship as well. So kind of tell us, the time goes by so quickly, I wish I could stop the clock. But tell us about the U.S. scholarship portion. That is for students in, where is it, St. Lucie, Florida? Tell us about that.
Yes, St. Lucie County. Yeah, that's another interesting thing because when we did it, we wanted the to spread the news on Dominica a little bit. So we created a system where to apply, you would have to write an essay about what you know of Dominica. So that way it would force an applicant to understand what Dominica is about and who we are.
And you always mention it's not the Dominican Republic, right?
Well, interesting enough, funny enough, one of the students this year made a mistake in the essay and they referenced Dominican Republic, and I had to correct her, to tell her, I think you made a mistake there. She knew she was talking about Dominica, but I think in one of the sentences, maybe she didn't catch that it said Dominican Republic. So.
I hope she didn't use ChatGPT, Pat.
But it was a good essay, but I corrected her. But the thing is, that was the intent when we set it up. We wanted to advertise who we are and who we were. So the essays required. The required essay is to describe what Dominica is, its people, its culture, its history, and that sort of thing. So that's what the essay is required, besides having a good grade at school and all that. So it was, and that was very intentional on our part.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and just tell us, so St. Lucie County, what areas do that cover?
Yeah, St. Lucie County is a little north of Palm Beach County, and that's where most of the original founders of the organization lived.
Okay.
And again, because our funding was limited, we wanted to keep it within the community that we were established,
Right.
so that we would give back to that community. And but in the process of setting it up, I found out, or we found out, that there were organizations that were very specifically designed to support their own people. For instance, I found out that there was a Latin scholarship that was given only to Latinos. And so we kind of discussed it, and especially since we didn't have that kind of money to spread around, we decided, well, we'd have to keep it to mostly African Americans with Caribbean descent, and those of Americans with Caribbean descent. So we kept it focused. So we would spend our money supporting our people.
Amen. I
Yeah,
agree.
so that's
And
how
what and how much is that particular scholarship? So is it the same criteria
it's
from high school? From
it's a little
high school?
more. It's about 1,000 US.
Okay, and are they going
Yeah.
from middle school to high school?
No, they're going from high school to college.
Oh, high school to college.
Yeah.
And when does the application open for that
It
scholarship? The
opens up
deadline?
in January as well, and it closes end of April.
Okay. And the response to that initiative?
Well, it's improving.
Okay.
This year we offered 3 scholarships, and we'll be giving out all 3.
Excellent.
So we
Sounds
had applicants that we had at least 3 applicants that got scholarships. So our budget we cleaned our budget in that regard.
Yeah. So, Pat, anything you want to add?
No, ma'am, I'm excited. I can't
Okay,
wait to
good.
dive in next.
Me too, and I'm looking forward to remaining in contact with you because I always think of education as the great leveler of the playing field, right? Because it
Yep.
doesn't matter where you come from; it matters where you go. And through
That's it.
education has paved such an important path for so many of us who came from humble beginnings. I don't believe in the word poverty because we were rich in so many other
Oh, you're
ways,
telling me.
even if we were financially disadvantaged, right? So from humble beginnings. So I always like to speak to my guests and say, if I had a magic wand and I can wave the magic wand and get you to where you want to be, what would overall success look like for you? Where are you heading with all of this? What is the great vision of everything that you're doing?
Mm-hmm. You talking to us? You talking to the
The two of you.
We'll probably have 2 different answers, but I think to myself, if the whole point of this is to create opportunity and access, because opportunity is everywhere. Smart people are everywhere. You just got to find them. And I don't know, you're looking for me. I can't stick my hand up to be found, right? I would like to, before I die, I'd like to, be doing something, and all of a sudden I hear someone on the radio, and they say, "Hi, my name is whatever, and I'm a kid from Dominica, and let me give you an example of the impact something had on me 40 years ago," and they bring up this scholarship, or a parent says, if it was not for the fact that this kid got this scholarship, and this might have been 30 years ago, they would not have become the person that they are today. Like, I really want to feel that this moment that we're giving them, this 2-hour ceremony, this $2,000 in their pocket to get the snacks, get the book, get whatever they need, really is going to be the thing that they needed to become who they wanted to be. Like, this was the thing. That's what would make me happy, even if it was just one person. Right? You can't say, well, the starfish, but if you save one, that starfish is pretty happy. So I'd like to have them remember this thing that's happening to them as an important point in this story. When they tell this story, you, Dr. Simone, just told your story, and you reminded us, or you told us, I didn't know that you got a scholarship when you were whatever. I want them to remember that.
Yep.
Because that's a connecting to something else that's going to happen to them.
Right. And it stays with you because it leaves an impression on you because it says that somebody saw the promise in you.
There we go. So you now have to deliver.
Somebody did not look at your status in society. They saw the promise and the potential in you, and somebody spoke on your behalf.
That's right.
Somebody did not know me personally, but they knew my parents, they knew my family, and they spoke up and they said, "Oh, Simone is deserving, so let's award her that ceremony." So again, it comes back to what is your family contributing to the society. I remember as well, going to high school, another opportunity I had is I also received funding from the Catholic Church. And my mom is on the live, she can attest to this. And why did I receive that funding? Because for decades, my mom was a very active person in the choir, well, she probably didn't read because she was too shy, but in the choir, in volunteering, and because we were struggling to get me my books, to get me my supplies for high school, somebody happened to tell the priest. She didn't tell the priest because she wasn't doing it to get anything back. She was doing it out of kudma. She was doing it out of supporting her community. But someone realized that she was struggling to get me the supplies to go to convent high school. And they went back and told the priest, and the priest called her and said, why didn't you call me to let me know that you were struggling to provide books for Simone to go to school? And the church assisted in providing supplies for me, right? So again, the importance of what you put out. A lot of times we talk about karma in a negative way, but karma is also positive. So what is that karma you're putting out into the world that will not just come back to you, but it will come back to your children? Right? Newton, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of, and recently, more of the concern I have with our succession issues. Because the younger folks are difficult to find who are willing to step up and take over.
Right.
It's a challenge. I know Pat and I need to have more discussions about that. Thank God we have some younger folks in the organization that are doing well, and we thank them for that. But it's something that we need to develop. We need to start reaching out to some younger people and asking them to join so that they can take over. So that's one of the concerns I have.
Yeah, and I always like to end the program by talking about the impact all of this is having with the sustainable development of Dominica. So what role do you see yourself playing in the sustainable development of Dominica through your initiatives?
Well, simply because we expect that when we offer the kids an avenue to move on and go forward in their higher education, that over time, as they develop their skills and become more, versed in the fields that they chose to pursue, that they will come back and help and develop the country. I know it's a challenge because people tend to leave Dominica and find other things elsewhere and abroad. But even then, you can still give back, and to the extent where you might give back enough to help. So hopefully, what we are doing now will eventually pay off in the end and help the country, prosper.
Absolutely, Pat.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We got to figure out a way to put this as this shouldn't happen. Just like healthcare should be good for people, education should be good for people, food and home security should be good for people. Right? We shouldn't exist, is my point. We shouldn't have to exist.
Yeah, and more than ever now, it is so much easier to contribute to the development of Dominica, right? Because look at where we're sitting. I'm in Atlanta. You're in New Jersey. Newton, are you in Florida?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're in Florida. Lambi is in the studio in Dominica. So in my mind, there is absolutely no reason to not be able to make a contribution to Dominica. And the other point I always like to raise during our program is the need to bridge that gap between Dominicans overseas and Dominicans on the ground.
That's it.
Because we have this mentality that is plaguing our ability to succeed.
Mhm.
And that is the division between Dominicans overseas and Dominicans on the ground. And I can feel it when I go to Dominica because I get the mentality. And some people will actually say to you, you left.
Yeah.
Okay.
You left. And that is such an insult. And I want you guys to just respond to that very quickly. That is such an insult because I say to these folks, yes, I did physically leave Dominica, but my heart and my mind never left Dominica.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
the income I am able to make because I live overseas is paying for a mortgage in Dominica, is paying for land in Dominica, is supporting people at the bank who are processing this mortgage. If I lived in Dominica and I didn't have the opportunity to develop economically, I would not be able to do that. So you're benefiting from the fact that I left. So how does this contribute to bridging that divide between those of us who are overseas, but our hearts and minds are in Dominica, and those of us who are on the ground and may have a little bit of resentment because we left?
Yeah, and I think we don't spend enough time in communicating. Because 9 out of 10 times when there's all this stuff happening around, no one's really sitting in a room actually having honest conversations and listening to understand, well, why did I leave, or why did I not leave, right? And really understand. I think it's too easy just for people to kind of do the shortcut, say a couple of words, throw some shade, do whatever. Would really not, understand what my life decisions were. So understand. You don't have to agree, but understand. And I think we don't do enough of that. And I would like to see more of things like this happening on that conversation. Get the two parties in a room and let's kind of talk to the problem versus try to fight each other, because that's when other people win when we do that. We come from the same, we're trying to solve the same issues, but take a chance to understand people. I don't think we do enough of that.
Right. And organizations such as yours, I'm coming to you, Newton, organizations such as yours do exactly that.
That's it.
Because we're showing that we're the same people. Right? And if I use my resources out here in the US and you use your resources in Dominica, we are all contributing to the development of Dominica. So I think we all have to take personal accountability, because maybe some of us do go down to Dominica and we're a little chin up and I left, and those of us on the ground can also change our attitude. Right. So again, we have to kind of look at ourselves and say, well, what am I contributing to this dysfunction? Because if we stay in the dysfunction, everyone suffers and everyone hurts because we don't trust each other. But if we can get past that, think of the opportunities and the doors we can open for the benefit of Dominica. Newton, to you.
Yes, I think it's a characteristic of people, because when you, depending on the person you are, if you are a person that is willing to give back to others, regardless of what your situation is, you will find a way. And I think that's, as an organization, that's what we're doing, because we live in a society that's relatively free. And I'm talking about the Dominican culture. You're not tied down to any one thing. You're otherwise, because we have limitations being who we are in terms of our physical space and the technological development that's available, and especially when you compare how fast things are moving technologically around the world. So if you have a person who wants to challenge themselves to do well in certain fields, Dominica wouldn't be able to afford that. So it's understandable to see why they would want to go abroad to pursue that career or something. But the worst part is if they're not open-minded or generous enough to have to feel that they want to come back and contribute. But again, you have to have the environment that permits it, because we have a tough environment in Dominica. That some people feel that they're not welcome. They're not welcome to even come and try or give advice. And that happens at home a lot. So it's not only people you might think coming up with a stiff upper lip, but it's the person in Dominica also treating you as if, Olay Kale, Olay Sorti.
It goes both ways. Pat, you understand that now? Here you don't speak
I
clearly.
understand. But it's
So,
funny.
you know, so I mean, I left Dominica when I was 30 years old, so I know. I went through the whole process. You know, and I used to go back home every year once I could afford it. And you know what's so funny? I got involved in doing a lot of things at home. I spent a lot of my own personal funds trying to develop what we thought would be a good idea as Dominicans. So if you talk to anybody that's been through the process, it's me. So, you know, so, and I know people, even guys who are members of DASCI, who have been home, been there for 3-4 years after trying and finding out that they had too many blockages. They had to sell and take off and come back because it wasn't working for them. So it's a tough situation down
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Because we know someone who is in that current situation. She's 85 and she
Wow.
decided to relocate back to Dominica. She's actually coming back up in 3 weeks
Wow.
Oh Lord.
because she
Oh, Lord.
realizes it's just not
It's not
conducive.
working. Yeah,
You know,
it's
she needs access to healthcare, and it is
right.
just, you know, it's just not working in her favor. But I want to thank you guys for this conversation. It's been very intriguing and very entertaining, very enlightening. So I want you to tell us how the general public can support you. I like that on your website, you have the donate button right there. So again, we're going to remind the audience, www.dasci.org, if you want to support the cause. And we also have, correct me if I'm wrong, your email address is dasci09@gmail.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Absolutely. So if you want to contact DASCI, you can do so at dasci09@gmail.com. So let me go ahead and post that in the comment section so everyone will be able to access it. So as we wind down, your final thoughts. And if you want to speak as well, you want to make a plea to the general public to support your efforts, you can go ahead and do so as well. So as we wind down, Pat, let me come over to you again. Thank you for reaching out. Carrie, thank you for putting me in touch with Pat. And I just love how it all comes together, right? Because I always talk about the importance of strategic alliances, that we connect people to each other, we connect organizations to each other, and so we can build that synergy, build that human capacity to do this important work. So a plea for support, and then your final words.
So the plea, if it's financial support, again, for those of you who work or retired and have companies that still provide the ability to do gift matching, just look for our company on your company's website and, you know, gift away. If you want to become a member and if you fit the requirements of, you know, being of national descent, you can just go onto our website, fill out the application. Myself and Newton and others will get it, and we'll let you know if you're in, and then we'll ask you to pay the $55 or $50 membership fee. If you're interested in just being, right now, if you don't want to do anything economically, but just want to kind of understand when's our next event and what are we doing, send your email to the DASCI Gmail, and I'll get that, and I'll put you on our friends list. So when we're having events and we're having raffles and we're doing things that you might want to be part of, to join or to go to, we'll make sure we include you on that distribution. If you have a small business and you want to offer discounts because you sell windows or you sell yard equipment, or if you have something that you want us to auction off to raise funds on your behalf, send that same information to that Gmail. I'll get it, Newton will get it. So any way you think you can help us based upon what you heard here today, we are, you know, more than happy to hear what you have to offer. If you want to answer, if you have more questions, certainly reach out and I'll get on the phone. I'll talk to you myself. So nothing's off the table. Nothing. And if you live in Dominica, I'm not sure what people are, and you want to be our person on the ground as a member, let us know that as well. So nothing's off the table on how you can actually help us.
Yeah, it would be so wonderful if you could find someone on the ground that is trustworthy. And I've been racking my brain trying to think of someone, but everybody's just so busy and occupied
Yeah.
that it can be hard to ask people to add even more to their plates.
Yeah.
But if I do think of someone, and I'm assuming this person probably needs transportation, they probably would need to be able to get around, kind of thing.
I don't think so. All they have
Not
is they
necessarily.
have Wi-Fi and electricity. We got them.
Okay. All right, that's good to know. So Wi-Fi, electricity, trustworthy, big.
Yeah.
Then you would it would be an opportunity for you to be a part of this organization while still being in Dominica. Again, with technology, everything is possible. Newton, over to you.
Yes, and thanks again for giving us the opportunity to be on your program today. We would hope that some of our listeners will take the next step and join, so we could share with personally with what we do, and we intend to do it as long as we can. So that's it.
Yeah, and hopefully being able to recruit more of the young people to do the work. And don't forget
Absolutely.
to try to get those video clips.
Absolutely.
Yes, get some video clips if the young people have permission from their parents as well, because you
Yeah.
probably need permission from the parents to do the recording. Then that might be an option, but you certainly want to take advantage of social media
Yeah.
to get the message out to the world and get more people to commit to the process. Excellent.
Yep.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you, Lammy, for being on the console. Thank you, Pat. Thank Pat David, Newton Garraway. If you tuned in late, you've been listening to Roots Connections on Q. I'm your host, Dr. Simone Mathieu, and we were here with the Dominica-America Scholarship and Culture, Inc., DASCI, and we were talking about how can we secure the future of Dominican students, and they are offering scholarships for students in Dominica who are going from primary school to high school. And again, all the information you need is on their website, www.dasci.com, and that email address is dasci09@gmail.com. And speaking of someone who is eternally supporting Dominica and everything I do, Mr. Alvin Thomas, always nice to see you. He says, please plug in the email again. So Alvin, it is on the comment section where you're looking right now. And I will repeat it one more time. D as in David, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, I as in India, 09@gmail.com. If you would like to reach out to them. And guys, if you miss any portion of the program, don't forget you can catch the replay on Facebook at Push Past 10, as well as Q95 FM radio on Facebook and YouTube. So you can catch the replay. Maybe you're welcome, Alvin. Maybe you want more information on the application process. Maybe you want more information on the criteria. Maybe you want more information on when the next round of applications are going to open. The deadline for the application, again, is going to be around May 1st of 2027. So please put it on your calendar so you don't miss the deadline. Very, very important. Pat and Newton wants you to send the application as one package.
Absolutely.
Very important, one package. If you do not send it as one package, it will be denied. Yokai jete, okay? If you cannot understand
You know what that means?
English, I will say it to you in Creole because now I'm fluent in Creole. Thank you.
Il parle bon.
Il parle bon, yokai jete. Si vous pas fait bon, yokai jete. So, okay, in case you don't understand English, guys, I'm just playing around. But seriously, one application with all the 5 items, including so your child can potentially qualify for this scholarship. So thank you, our listening audience on Q95 Radio, on Facebook and YouTube. It is always great to be here in your company for another episode of Roots Connections on Q. And as we go, I always like to leave you with the question: what role are you playing in your corner of the world for the development of Dominica? Think of all Dominica has given to you. I always say to people, I do this program because I always think to myself, who might I have been if not for Dominica? So I want you to go with that question. What contribution can you make by embracing technology, even if there's not a Dominica Association in your area? But what role can you two play in the economic development of Dominica? So we're always grateful to be here with you on this journey as we continue to harness the power of technology, social media, international radio, and the podcast to leverage the skills and expertise of our Dominican and Caribbean brothers and sisters around the world to build that capacity needed for the sustainable development of Dominica, the Caribbean, and our diaspora around the world. So remember, follow Q95 FM Radio and Push Past 10 on Facebook. And if you too have a program, something that you're working on, not something you're thinking of, because remember, these are the visionaries. These are people who are walking the talk, because we all know the parrot on the flag means we like to talk, right? So we want you to reach out to me if you're working on something that is for the benefit of Dominicans. And again, Carrie, thank you for making the connection. You can reach out to me at pushpast10@gmail.com. That is pushpast10@gmail.com. So again, thank you for being here, Pat and Newton. I truly enjoyed this very engaging conversation, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you and to helping you promote the important work that you're doing. So you can feel free, your mics are unmuted. You can feel free to say bye to the audience. Until next time, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Forward we go.
Forward we go. I wish I had the Daddy Chess song. I would have played it, but I didn't cue it up. But thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the week. Take care. Thank you, Lambi. Take care.
All right, G.
Bye-bye.
Damn.
Roots Connections on Q, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every other Wednesday on Q95.
Well, that was interesting.
Dominican's journey beyond our sources.
I think
Ready to get back to their cherished nature.
Yeah, I never